5G is something that the Tech Travel Geeks did a music video about.
5G, 5G.
It's also a really big selling point of smartphones nowadays, even at the affordable end of the market. And that's where we think the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 5G comes in. It's an affordable 5G smartphone under the £200 price point. This is the Tech Travel Geeks review, or specifically long-term review, of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 5G. If you've recently been watching the Tech Travel Geeks YouTube channel, you'll know that we also reviewed the Poco M3 Pro 5G. And essentially, these are the same phone. Just as on the Poco M3 Pro 5G, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 5G has an IPS LCD display, Full High Definition Plus, that refreshes at 90 Hz. It's powered by a MediaTek Dimensity 700 chipset, which also has 5G. It's a very capable smartphone in its own right, but within that price range, it has to make some trade-offs to offer you 5G, the key feature they're selling you here, and obviously those trade-offs mean that you're getting less of a smartphone in other areas. The MediaTek Dimensity 700 chipset is very, very capable for everyday smartphone tasks like social media, messaging, using Google Maps or navigation services, and more importantly, consuming media, whether that's streamed video, stored video, audiobooks, podcasts, or music. The device is great for all those things. The only thing I was left wishing for slightly after having used the slightly better screened Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 was that AMOLED screen. But if you don't have the two devices side by side, you won't really notice. As the device comes out of the box, it has a screen protector applied to it, and I'm really quite happy about that because my one potentially could have got scratched once I had a set of keys in my pocket with my smartphone. Luckily, the screen protector did its job, and once I took that screen protector off, I had a lovely screen, which arguably had a little bit more brightness to it than it would have had with the screen protector on. As usual, we recommend you use a screen protector where possible on your smartphones. Trust us, it's worth it. The overall performance of the smartphone is really good, as I said. There's a few drawbacks to using a MediaTek Dimensity 700 chipset. One of them is fast charging. The Redmi Note 10 5G fast charges at 18 watts. That means that you'll be able to get a full charge in just under an hour and 20 minutes. And that 5000 mAh battery in normal day-to-day use will comfortably get you through a whole day of smartphone use. Now, obviously USB Type-C is an important port at the bottom of the device. It works well just for charging, but also for data. And the speaker at the bottom is pretty loud, though it is a mono speaker, so make sure you don't get your hand over that and block the sound coming out of it. At the top of the device, we have two key features that the Tech Travel Geeks value. The first is the Courage port, that's a 3.5mm audio jack, which you can use for plugging in standard headphones, and the other is an infrared blaster, so you can use the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 5G for controlling TVs, air conditioning, blinds, essentially anything that has an infrared port. One of the key features we've seen in many smartphones of the Xiaomi portfolio since late 2020 has been the side-mounted fingerprint scanner. This is something that has been seen on Xiaomi devices, Redmi devices, and Poco devices. And they tend to be fast, reliable, and more importantly, easy to find just by feeling with your fingers, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. The Redmi Note 10 5G has one of those fingerprint scanners, and just like other ones we saw on Xiaomi devices, it is not only recessed, but fast, reliable, and easy to use. We really like that feature and wish that a lot more smartphones and smartphone brands started using those. It's difficult to review the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 5G when we've been covering the rest of the Redmi Note 10 family here on the Tech Travel Geeks YouTube channel. Earlier this year, our Chief Aperture Officer, Lukasz, covered the Redmi Note 10 Pro, which is in a completely different class of smartphone compared to the Redmi Note 10 5G. And in the Redmi Note 10 5G's price category, we also reviewed the standard Xiaomi Redmi Note 10. The trade-offs for 5G are significant. You get a lower quality screen, you get less cameras and less capable cameras, but overall, for day-to-day use, they're very similar devices. Make sure you live in an area where you have 5G or you frequently travel through one, because otherwise there's little or no advantage to it. We will be doing a full side-by-side comparison between the Redmi Note 10 5G and the Redmi Note 10 here on the Tech Travel Geeks YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for that. As I said, the Redmi Note 10 5G has a bit of a trade-off in terms of its cameras. You do get that same 48 megapixel sensor, but sadly, that 48 megapixel sensor doesn't perform as well as the standard Redmi Note 10 in my experience. Even taking pictures side by side, there's a little bit of a change in the color science and the way they perform. The other two cameras are ones we might as well not even talk about. They're sticker cameras. One is a macro sensor, which produces blurry and not really enjoyable pictures up close to things, and the other is a depth sensor, which allegedly makes portrait pictures slightly better. But as our friend Miriam says, these are essentially sticker cameras. They're there to make the spec sheet look good. The front-facing camera is also a downgrade compared to the original Xiaomi Redmi Note 10. It's an 8 megapixel sensor. It does its job, but suffers really badly in low light. So in the camera department, it is more than enough for most people's smartphone use. Just don't expect this to be the sort of smartphone that will produce pictures that you can shout out about too much. But with the appropriate Instagram filters or filters applied through MIUI's editing software, you could do well. And speaking of MIUI, the Redmi Note 10 5G is powered by MIUI 12. That's Xiaomi's version of Android for its own smartphones. Unlike other smartphones in the Xiaomi product portfolio, and just like the Poco M3 Pro 5G, the Redmi Note 10 5G has not been updated to MIUI 12.5 at the point of publishing this review. Bear in mind that MIUI 12.5 was released in May this year. It's now coming up to 6 months from that release, and the Redmi Note 10 5G doesn't have the latest update of MIUI yet. That's a bit concerning, and we think that's because you have a MediaTek chipset on this device, rather than a Qualcomm one. And another thing that's missing from other Redmi or Xiaomi smartphones is in the editor that we mentioned for the photos that you take with MIUI, is that sky replacement. One of the key features that I think makes Xiaomi's devices stand out is not present on the Redmi Note 10 5G. So overall, you really need to make a conscious decision that you're really wanting 5G. Does that speed or that low latency really make a difference to you? Maybe it does if you're gaming, and the Redmi Note 10 5G does a decent job if you're playing games like Mobile Legends, or to make full use of that 5G, Fortnite or Call of Duty Mobile. It does perform well on medium settings on all those games, and on Mobile Legends it can even step up to full high quality settings. If that's really important to you, this might be the smartphone for you. But there's a lot of trade-offs here compared to the rest of the Xiaomi smartphone family, and even compared to other devices in the same price category from other brands. So overall, whilst we're quite positive about the Redmi Note 10 5G, we think there's a trade-off too many in terms of not only the spec sheet, but the overall experience as a smartphone user. We'll be doing a full side-by-side comparison between the Redmi Note 10 and the Redmi Note 10 5G here on the Tech Travel Geeks YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell turned on. Do you have thoughts about the Redmi Note 10 5G compared to its siblings? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and let us know what you'd like to see dealt with in our side-by-side comparison. But for now, thanks for watching this long-term review of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 5G. That's all from us.